So, hi everyone, we are Karen and Neil Gortzman, and we are the Private Label University. And we're so excited because today we are going to talk about the Chinese holidays and how you need to be aware of all these holidays so it doesn't affect your business.
That's right. The Chinese holidays are very, very important holidays. And much like we have our own holidays domestically, a lot of times the people aren't aware in North America of the dates of the holidays and the length of the holidays. And if you're in the physical product business or you're a retailer, you have to be aware when you're ordering your products of the holidays there in Asia, because many factories, many companies will close for longer periods of time than you actually will consider they close for. So, for example, New Year's Day is a universal holiday. It's known around the world, of course. It falls on
January 1st?
January 1st. And so it's a recognized holiday. Sometimes you'll get greetings from different countries because, again, it's recognized around the world, big event. But in China, the biggest holiday known to everyone there, of course, is the Chinese New Year. So the Chinese New Year being the most important holiday, and it doesn't fall on exactly the same day each year. For 2017, it actually falls on January 28th, and it runs through till February 2nd. However, with that in mind, it actually means because many people will work in remote regions, they'll live far away from where the factory is or from where their job position is, and they have to take train rides and bus rides and flights back home, which could take a few days to get back home. So a lot of companies will have their staff leaving 3, 4, sometimes 5 days prior to when the holiday actually occurs. And then, of course, returning back to work, it could be 3, 4 days after. So I've seen actually people or factories really not get back into the swing of things for about a month. So if the holiday falls on the 20th of January, you can figure by the 15th of January to the 15th of October, everything is just kind of running
Quiet.
slower. Everything is
quiet.
quiet, right? And it's not just the factories; it's everything in China. So from your shipping services, from DHL, from FedEx, from UPS, from any of the couriers. Of course, small couriers will close, but even some of the big companies, they just have lacking in service. They have less people working there. So you have to be aware that your shipments will be delayed that way. Even if it's coming on an air shipment, if you don't have anyone from FedEx picking up or getting the paperwork done, you're not going to get your shipment with priority service.
And again, this is the most important holiday to keep in mind. So we recommend that you go to Google, download a Chinese calendar so you have all the holidays on your calendar so that you know what to expect. When you're emailing back and forth and no one's responding, it's nothing personal. It's because of the holiday, and they take the holiday very seriously. I mean, especially the Chinese New Year, it's a time for family reunions. It's the longest public holiday, correct?
It is, and this year
And
being the year of the monkey, next year I believe is going to be the year of the dog. But
okay.
it's a very festive time of year, and it's again, it's the holiday of Asia and especially of China.
And we're going to talk about in a bit, after we talk about the holidays, how to prepare your business around the holidays so it doesn't interfere with your importing.
Actually, just thinking a few of the doing some Gregorian calendar theorems in my head. It should be the year of the rooster, because I remember that came up. We were
Rooster.
talking. Yeah, it's going to be the rooster. This year's a monkey. Next year's going to be the rooster. So for all of you falling on that month for the 2008 2017, you're the rooster.
Are you the year of the monkey?
I'm not. Dragon.
The dragon. There you go. Okay, so another holiday.
That is very important is Qingming. Qingming, also known as Tomb Sweeping Day, also a very important holiday in China. It is the time of year when you remember those who have passed on. You pay your respects to not only loved ones, but to dignitaries and soldiers, people who have fallen, and people throughout history. And you actually go to their grave sites or to different tombs or temples, and you clean them. You lay flowers. You say some prayers. A very important day in China.
And it's a couple of days. It's always in April. around April 2nd, and they
So
give you a
again,
couple of days
if it runs
to.
from April 2nd to
Mhm.
April 4th, again, keep in mind if you're in the physical product business that some people will leave a couple days earlier and then return a couple days later because again they're going to maybe a remote area or a village or back home,
Mhm.
and their journey could be a little bit longer. So a lot of factories will close for approximately a week within that time.
Mhm.
They'll say, we're only closed for 2 or 3 days, but really, if that's from Monday to Thursday, you're not getting any work done that week.
Mhm.
So an important holiday, Tomb Sweeping Day or Qingming Day.
Mhm.
May Day. May Day is
Guess when
just
that is? It's in
it's not in
May.
June.
It's in May.
So just another few days off. In 2017,
I
it's
think it's
April
just one day,
29th
yeah,
to May.
a couple
It's
days,
one day, but
give or take.
again, they'll add
Mhm.
sometimes 1 or 2 days. And then, of course, the a very important day, which we just had the festival, is Dragon Boat. The
Mhm.
Dragon Boat Festival, the
Mhm.
Dragon Boat Holiday, which we just finished here,
In
ran
June,
yeah
June
ran the
9th
first
to
week of
11th.
June.
Mhm.
And again, a lot of companies were closed. It's a very festive holiday.
And again, it's different timing. So I believe in 2017, it's in May, the end of
Correct.
May, for a few days. And it's a beautiful, beautiful
Yeah,
holiday.
a lot of the cities, even the U.S., will celebrate Dragon Boat holiday with festivals that go on.
I remember
Of course,
even
boat
when we
races
lived in Canada, a
in
lot of
Toronto.
the
Yes, down near the
festivals, yeah,
waterfront, we have
beautiful.
boat races.
Hmm.
Here in Colorado, we have boat races as well. So a very festive holiday and a very enjoyable holiday.
Hmm. And it's pretty, just so pretty.
Okay, so another holiday we have to look at is autumn. It's the national holiday that goes
Hmm.
on in September. Next year, it's falling in October, I believe the beginning of October.
Hmm.
So again, it'll fall the end of September through, let's say, just the first week of October. The Mid Autumn Festival or Autumn Holiday um, is also sometimes mixed in with some extra labor holidays, depending on the region of
Hmm.
China. And again, it's also very well known for its mooncake.
Yum.
It's part of the Moon Festival through the autumn holiday, and it's a time when again a lot of celebration goes on. A lot of firecrackers are lit. So if you're going through some of the streets and you've never been to China, don't be alarmed when you hear firecrackers being blown off. It's a
Fireworks. I think they
firework.
call them
No,
fireworks.
firecrackers.
Oh,
Yeah,
firecrackers.
they
Okay.
left a little lady fingers and they
Oh,
go up in
very
the air.
cool. And if you
Um,
haven't tried, Neil mentioned the mooncakes. If you have not tried a mooncake, oh my goodness, you must try a mooncake. They are wonderful.
yeah,
They
are
taste
delicious.
so delicious.
And Taiwan is very famous for their mooncakes. And everyone bakes them a
Yeah.
little bit differently. They have all types of competitions going on with people baking different styles and different centers. And of course, it's very common if you're going to visit someone that you make sure that you bring mooncake with you to a party or event or visiting a family.
And so keep that in mind if you see us. Bring us mooncakes.
Bring us mooncakes.
Just teasing.
Always enjoy.
So that is, and the holiday is always the 15th day of the 8th month according to the Chinese
Lunar
lunar
calendar, yeah.
calendar. So a great, great
A great
holiday.
festival, a great holiday.
A yummy holiday.
And then there's also a national day which
Hmm.
falls in October. It's the first week of October. It typically is always the same time.
Hmm.
It could be prolonged for a few extra days. Again, remember,
It's a week.
it's a week. So
Hmm.
a week could be 2 weeks working time. So if it falls on the first, expect that some of the factories people will be leaving at least 2 to 3 days earlier
Hmm.
and arriving 2 to 3 days after that. Again, it's a national holiday. It's celebrated throughout China. There's a lot of festivals going on especially in Beijing. Tiananmen Square has a huge, huge festival. A lot of parades going on. A lot of
Hmm.
with all the big boats
Beautiful.
going through the streets. A lot of times near all the train stations, they have
Hmm.
all kinds of festivals and celebrations going on. So if you're going to be traveling at a time, be prepared that the train stations are extremely packed, not just from people traveling, but festivities, because a lot of times people either coming back or going to villages are waiting at the train station, and they'll go to the train station 2 to 3 days prior to make sure they have their ticket to get on their train, because a lot of times tickets get mixed up,
Hmm.
and what happens are people can miss their train or people overbook, and so they just stay there for a couple extra days and
Hmm.
continue to celebrate. So very important.
So those are some of the holidays, the big holidays that you need to be aware of. And again, go to Google, download a Chinese calendar to your calendar so that you are aware of these holidays, because they will interfere with your business if you're not aware of them. Whether it's just through email communication, again, it's not like when we have a holiday, or at least Neil and I, when we take our holiday, whether it's, Christmas or Thanksgiving, sometimes we're still doing work, and we'll get our iPhones and we'll get messages and we're looking at them and we're responding. It's not like that. When they take their holidays, they take their holidays, and
they take them very seriously.
And everything is put on hold. So if you're not getting a response, it's not something personal to you.
It's not to be disrespectful.
Exactly. It's just their holiday. So, respect them as they will respect you during your holiday. However, we do go on our phones and look at emails.
And much like here, there's a lot of planning going on. Mm-hmm. Again, if someone is living in Hangzhou and they must travel, 4 or 5 hours to get to Shanghai, or if someone is traveling from Jiangxi province, or if someone is traveling from Zhejiang province and they have to go to Jiangsu province. So again, there's many cities to travel the distance, and people will leave early because of that. So there's a lot of preparation, and if they're not getting back to you right away, it's because they really have to make sure they have everything planned and trying to get their belongings together to go back home and visit family.
Mm-hmm. So again, nothing has to do with being disrespectful to you. So it's about planning and understanding the holidays so that you're not frustrated, because I know that if someone doesn't respond to my email and it's taking weeks, especially around the Chinese New Year, where they can be out for a month and you're not getting a response, and you think, my God, I just sent you money and you have my shipment, and where's it going and when's it coming? It could be very frustrating. So to understand the holidays will really, really help you prepare in advance around the holidays so that it doesn't interfere with your business, and you will be less stressed for sure. So let's talk about some strategies based on how you can prepare around these holidays so it doesn't affect your business. And we're going to really kind of focus in on the Chinese New Year, because it's the biggest and it's the longest, and it's really the one that will affect your business the most if you do not take the proper care around it. So let's talk about that.
So what you have to remember is, if you're a company, if you're in the physical product industry, or you're a retailer, you have to be aware, again, that even though it's recognized as, let's say, a 1 week or 10-day holiday, it really is going to cover 30 days or a month. Mm-hmm. And with that, you must be prepared to make sure you're ordering your products in time to make sure they're delivered, because if all the shipping regions are shutting down or not working as efficiently at that time, you want to make sure that you're getting your shipments. So you really have to prepare 60 to 70 days prior to that, making sure you're getting your shipments booked on those containers, ready to go. So they'll still be arriving to you when the Chinese New Year is on, because it's already set sail, possibly arriving in Los Angeles or New York or in Tacoma. So you want to make sure it's hitting those ports, of course, being cleared on this side. But if you happen to get a little bit lazy and you're not sure, and again, it's heading 2 to 3 weeks, even prior to the Chinese New Year, those companies over there are slowing down.
And well, I think it's actually even 2 weeks. They're not even taking orders anymore.
Well, so here's an issue. Karen mentioned they may not be taking orders, but then on Alibaba and AliExpress, they don't tell you we're not taking orders right now. So what happens is, a lot of people, and we've seen this, a lot of our clients have come to us and said, hey, I sent my money, I did on Alibaba, but it's not going to arrive until this date. Well,
Way
months after.
Yeah.
And what happens is, again, there's no relationship necessarily with some of these new companies on Alibaba and AliExpress. Mm-hmm. And so you send your money, and then all of a sudden they're not talking to you for a couple of weeks because that agent or that trading company is closing down for the holiday, and they're not actually even booking your production. And so you're losing 30 days, sometimes 60 days, because by the time they get back, by the time they book your goods, have them made, sent to the shipping company, even if it's coming by air, that's 60 days, and you've already paid. Mm-hmm. And so you may be losing some of your business, because if you're a retailer, if you have companies and orders to fulfill, or it's for Amazon, for FBA, and you're missing your deadlines, you're going to get penalized and you're going to get fined. So you want to make sure that you're not missing that time to supply your customers. So again, booking your orders well in advance so it's not interfering with any Chinese holidays.
And don't pay for anything 2 weeks before the holiday, because
Your
Well,
money may
there's
be
a few
lost.
things. Well, not necessarily, but yes, could get lost. But there's a few things too. A lot of times during the Chinese New Year, people have a hard time coming back to work. Just think about it. You know, you've been gone for a month and you're with your family, and maybe you don't, and you're traveling. You know, Neil had mentioned 14 hours sometimes to get to that factory. Maybe you just don't want to come back, or maybe the job is not available anymore. And so that really changes the way, you know, it affects your business. Some companies even close down.
Hmm.
And if you had given them money couple weeks before the new year in hopes that when they get back, you know, production's going to start, they may not even be in business.
Right. And I actually worked with someone who was from Fujian. And Fujian is more of a mountain region. He was on the outskirts of that area. And when he'd come to see me, it would take him 2 days of traveling by bus. 2 days, almost 32 hours on a bus ride to come and see me. I'd be staying in Hangzhou, and we'd meet. And what would happen is he was telling me the story that his brother actually worked in Shanghai, and he worked in an automotive company, a very, very prestigious automotive parts and automotive assembly company. And he was, you know, making the journey all the time throughout the holidays to go back home in Fujian. And what happened was he got back home one time and he was seeing his sisters and his mother, and he said, "I just don't want to go back to work. I don't want to travel all the way back to Shanghai now. I hate living in the busy city. I'm so used to our village. It's so nice here. It's peaceful. I don't want to go back to working in Shanghai anymore. I want to work someplace closer." And so what happens is he actually spoke to a few of his partners and friends and comrades who worked in Shanghai at that factory, and they said, "You know what? We're all just not going to come back."
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened is the factory loses out on some of these workers and employees. And you have to remember, if your product is booked in production at that time, and all of a sudden there's 100 employees not come back, or 50, or anything that may actually hurt or hinder production, it could affect you. And it can happen in any country.
And affect the quality of your product too. So if these people aren't coming back and they've been making
And
your
they're
product
and they're
for
qualified,
years,
and they're qualified, yeah, maybe engineers even.
and they've been making your product for years, then the company has to bring in new people to work and retrain them.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're retraining them, mistakes could happen because they don't know what you wanted. Or maybe there were certain specific things that this one worker was doing for your product that this new worker may not be. So again, quality control could be affected, and that affects your business.
Right, and these are things that you must be aware of when you're doing business in Asia.
And most of the time, it happens after this long period of time. So after this long holiday, and we see that a lot more during this holiday, during the Chinese New Year. After the holiday, either people aren't coming back, so the company needs your supplier needs to hire new people, or companies close.
Yeah, it has happened where companies just decided they actually gained a lot of orders prior to the holiday, or they felt they have enough business, or they felt they didn't have enough business prior to the holidays, and they don't want to open right away, so they close for 3-4 months due to lack of production. Mm-hmm. Now, if your order has been booked at that time with that factory, now there may be a difficult time of reaching them. Mm-hmm. Due to the fact that they've just decided to close. They don't have enough business for the next few months, or enough orders booked in.
So your strategy, be prepared, plan in advance,
communication,
and communicate, and make sure that you are getting your orders in well in advance, especially for the Chinese New Year, so it does not affect your business. Mm-hmm. That's really the strategy. So what is another strategy or another tip that we can
Well, another tip to also remember is that, again, with communication, you want to know where the factory is located. Again, the problem with Alibaba and AliExpress, they're great online sites for ordering, but again, you don't know where your product is coming from. You may be dealing with a trading company, you may be dealing with just an agent. So one thing to be concerned about is, in Asia, petrol or gasoline is very expensive. And a lot of companies rely on this to run their companies. So in the summer months especially, it's very, very hot in China. It's very humid in China. The pollution has to be controlled because so many manufacturers and manufacturing companies are at their peak producing products for the new year, or for what we're going to call back to school. So what happens is again, the cost of petrol is high, so some of these cities will actually shut down the power in certain regions where there's a lot of industrial complex operations going on. And what happens is a lot of these companies then turn to petrol generators. And so they're running their generators to still keep production up, but gasoline is expensive. And so with that in mind, if they start to shut down, the companies that don't have all the generators will produce less. And this, of course, can delay shipments as well. And they'll tell you due to the heat, due to petrol costs, due to the city has shut down the power. So don't be surprised when you say, what do you mean the city shut down the power? Well, again, it's state controlled. So they have the ability to say, hey, there's too much going on. There's too much. It's too hot in the city due to so many factories operating. We're shutting down the power. And you'll see sometimes all of a sudden at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 1 o'clock, everyone's going home because they've shut down the factories until 5 to 6 o'clock at night. And then, of course, do some of the employees want to come back? No. If they come back, they get paid. But you'll see some guys are just at the side of the road relaxing on a hammock because
and these are in
they shut
some
down.
of the
They don't
more
want to
remote areas.
More the remote, the industrial regions, even some of the big cities. But so another thing to keep in mind with that is trucking companies. So because petrol is expensive, a lot of the larger manufacturing facilities will have their own trucks that deliver to the ports. So if they're loading your containers or they're loading trucks to ship LCL with pallets that are going to the port, what happens is if they don't have enough from 1 or 2 factories that they're picking up from, or even the factory that you're ordering from, if you're ordering direct from a factory, that truck doesn't want to go out because the cost of petrol just to deliver 1 or 2 pallets or 3 pallets. So he's going to wait. And he may wait an extra day, an extra 2 days for more orders to come in to fill that truck to take it to the port. So in the meantime, it is what? Delaying your shipment.
But you don't hear this.
You won't hear this.
See this because that's just not the Chinese business etiquette. They want to make sure that it's peaceful and that your relationship is strong, and they don't want to give you this information because it'll be frustrating and it'll upset you. So they don't want to tell you some of this. So, that's what a lot of these delays are coming from, just so you are aware of.
So not only have I done business in China for over 30 years, I've actually worked in China. So I've worked in remote areas in Fujian, in Fuzhou, in Hangzhou, in Shanghai. I've stayed at factories and worked there sometimes for a week with the truck drivers and with assembling, with manufacturing. So I've seen all these things occur, and I've learned what accommodations have to be done, and then what I have to tell the companies in North America of why the delays are. And sometimes they can't believe it. What do you mean the city has shut down the power? That doesn't happen. Well, it does. Sometimes we have no power, so at 3 o'clock, we just all go home. And we all relax, and maybe we'll come back if we know that a shipment has to get out within a few days. We'll come back in the evenings and we'll work when it's much cooler. But these are issues that do happen, and again, like Karen said, it's not to be disrespectful. It's not they want to delay any shipments, but when it's 98, 99 degrees out and the humidity is 100%, it's hard to work in those conditions, and no one's forced to work in that. So the factory owners or any of the managers. I've been a manager and I've said, it's just too hot. Let's just go home right now. Let's take a break. Let's come back at 6 o'clock when it's much easier to work. So you can blame
Neil for your shipment not getting there or the delays, right? Just blame Neil.
I'm making sure that it's the best conditions for the factory employees to work in, and even for myself. If I have to do inspections in 100-degree heat with pure humidity, it's not comfortable, and it's overwhelming, and I'd rather come back at 6, 7 o'clock in the evening or 8 o'clock in the evening and do the inspections then.
But again, a lot of these issues that could cause delays are not told to you as a buyer, because they just don't want to frustrate you. It's business, just like when you're doing business and something happens with the staff, or it's a bad storm and you have to close a little earlier or something like that, you don't go and report that to your customers, right? So same type of thing. So it's these little things that could cause a little bit of a delay as well. So just to be aware of. That's
and it just
kind of what goes on.
It just doesn't happen in China. I've worked in Japan in the summertime, especially monsoon time in July, and I've had trucks, they've been lined up for miles close to the port because the weather's so bad, and they just don't want to drive. It's for safety issues. They don't want to drive in those extreme temperatures, not just of the heat, but of the rain. So they stop, and it delays 1 or 2 days from your shipment getting on the boat.
So as you can see, there are many holidays to be aware of. So again, go to Google, download a calendar, a Chinese calendar to your calendar so you have all the holidays and you're aware of it, so you can work around the holidays with your supplier. Just like they do the same thing with our holidays. They're aware of what our holidays are as well, and they respect that. Even though we may be working and then wondering why they're not responding to us on our days that we shouldn't be working, again, they are aware of it as well. So to respect each other's holidays will help and make more of a successful business. And again, the tips: make sure that you are placing your orders on time, well in advance. Do not do them last minute. As we mentioned, there are many risks of losing money, factories could be closing, employees not coming back, and that could affect your quality control. So there's many things. You want to make sure that you are prepared well in advance so that it does not interfere with business. Absolutely. So I hope you enjoyed today. We would love to hear from you, so you can leave us some messages or comments below. Also, go to our Facebook page at Private Label University, and you can join our Facebook group. We have a private group there. Or you can go over to our website at www.privatelabeluniversity.com. Leave us a message there, and we will personally send you a video with our answer to your question.
Answer any question you have.
So it was so great being with you guys today. Enjoy the day as we are here. Beautiful day here, and we will talk soon.
再见。